There is an Aramaic word that appears 3 times in the New Testament, twice in letters written by Paul and once in the Gospel of Mark. Now, this is very interesting because Paul and Mark are writing at least 10 years apart. They're both writing in Greek, and they're both writing to primarily Gentile audiences. Yet they both use this Aramaic word, and they both use it in the same way, associating it with either agony or with the act of crying out. To make all this even more compelling is that Aramaic was a language spoken by Jesus, meaning the word went back to him. Now, the word is Abba. In English, we'd spell that A-B-B-A, just like the music group. And for those of you who grew up in Sunday school, you're likely told that this was the familiar or intimate form in Aramaic of father, meaning something akin to daddy or papa in English. Now, that is true, but that is not the sole reason why the word was preserved and was continuing to be used. Let's see how Paul uses it. In Romans 8:15, he writes, when we cry, Abba, Father. So there's the word, and he's associating it with the act of crying out. Not much more is said in this passage, but he probably believed his audience understood his meaning. In Galatians 4:6, Paul writes, and because you are children, God has sent the Spirit of His Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So there's the word again associated with the act of crying out. But notice here, it's not the believer crying out, it's the Spirit of God's Son that has been placed in the believer's heart that is crying out. That may seem very esoteric, but it will become far more concrete when we get to the Gospel of Mark. Here in Mark chapter 14, verse 36, the word is placed on the very lips of Jesus in his Garden of Gethsemane prayer. Quote, he said, Abba, Father, for you all things are possible. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I want, but what you want. So this is the prayer Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane prior to his arrest, the arrest which would ultimately lead to his crucifixion. And what he says here is, God, is there any other way? But ultimately, Lord, not my will, yours. This is why the word was preserved by the early Christians, because the word recalled this moment where Jesus submitted to God's will and showed that obedience and submission can also be accompanied by great agony and great suffering. And the model for the believer was this: when you find yourself in these same moments, also cry out, Abba, Father.